This Saturday night at Icon Park, 7:45 Victorian time, the 2024 AFLW Premiership winner will be crowned in the 2023 AFLW Grand Final rematch between North Melbourne and Brisbane. Who will win? Will North Melbourne win their maiden AFLW Premiership, or will the Brisbane Lions make history and be the first ever AFLW side to go back-to-back? Last night, the 2024 AFLW League Best and Fairest winner was crowned in Crow star Ebony Marinoff, followed by Ash Riddell from the North Melbourne Football Club. Can Ash put those frustrations aside and lead her side to the ultimate success that we know she can do? Will it be North Melbourne, led by Ash Riddell, Jazz Garner, Ruby Tripodi, Taylor Gatt, Alice O'Loughlin, Kate Sheelaw, Jazz Ferguson and co. lead their side to their first ever AFLW maiden premiership? Or will the Brisbane Lions go back-to-back, led by Ali Anderson, Belle Dawes, Taylor Smith, Dakota Davidson, Jade Allinger, Lily Postlethwaite and co. go back-to-back? I know it's going to be the best ever AFLW Grand Final we have ever seen. And if last year's was great, which it was, I just know that these two sides will be raring to go yet again. I'm excited. You get down to Icon Park if you can, because if you don't go, you are going to miss out on the best ever AFLW game and Grand Final of all time. I'm excited. Let's go! Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Grand Final week show of the SCOOPS AFLW show. I'm your host, Scoops, the sole admin of AFL information, trade rumours and results. And wow, Grand Final week has arrived. It's 2023 all over again with the 2024 AFLW Grand Final rematch. North Melbourne beat Brisbane. Same location, same two teams. Will the result be the same, or will it be different? The Roos led at three-quarter time by about 7 points, if I remember correctly. And Dakota Davidson had other ideas in that last quarter and got the Lions the victory. Jazz Ferguson has a tough task on either Taylor Smith or Dakota Davidson. But North Melbourne have been the best side this year. Will they be crowned the 2024 AFLW Premier and win their maiden premiership? We'll have to wait and find out. What a show we got lined up for you all, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go through last night's AFLW League Best and Fairest results, the All-Australian team, the Rising Star, the Mark and Goal of the Year winners. I'm going to go through all that. Scoops goes bang. I'm going to park my season reviews for next week's show. When we recap the Grand Final, go through some trade stuff next week as well. So I'll park the rest of my season reviews for next episode. We've got a lot to talk about on tonight's show. We'll start off with this. You want me on Cameo? Head to cameo.com/Cooper G. Want me to roast a friend, wish someone happy birthday? Anything at all, cameo.com/Cooper G. And if you know any AFLW players, any up-and-coming draftees, or any state league players and you'd like to see them on the podcast in a goal kicking challenge and or interview, please do send me a message and we'll try and get something sorted. Trying to work some stuff out with some people at the moment, so hopefully we can have something happen very, very soon, hopefully. But in the meantime, if you know anyone and you'd like to see them on, please send me a message. Or if you're a player and you're watching this, please send me a message and we'll try and get something sorted, whether that's for an interview and or a goal kicking challenge. All right. First off, I actually want to just bring up some news to talk about in terms of like some team selection with North Melbourne and Brisbane. I expect both sides will go in unchanged, barring a late injury or illness. I think both teams will go in unchanged. All right. Now, please welcome the world famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang. Well, I've talked a lot on this show in particular and on the AFL show as well about fan engagement, how the clubs interact with their fan base. Port Adelaide
showed Hawthorn, St Kilda and Carlton how it's done. I'd been talking about all year, no matter whether you win, lose, draw, no matter in whatever weather conditions, whether it's rain, hail or shine, you stop and appreciate your fans. That one Carlton staff member I'll never forget, when he ripped into those Carlton players that tried to walk away and said, no, get back here. They came here for you, no matter the conditions, no matter how we're going, and they came for you. You go and appreciate them. That guy is a legend. Hopefully he's still got the job there. Now, on top of that, Port Adelaide, they got embarrassed on the weekend. Absolutely embarrassed. They were pathetic on the weekend. I'm sure they'll all admit that. I mean, if they don't, well then, whatever. But the Power did one good thing that the Hawks should be listening to, St Kilda and Carlton in particular. They got smashed, okay? Now, I had people thinking they're funny going at me last week or the week before when Hawthorn lost to Port by a point. They're like, oh, they're not going to stop, Scoops. They lost by a point in the semi-final. They're heartbroken. Bad luck. Port Adelaide just got smashed by 57 points and were never in the game from the moment the game started, essentially. When North Melbourne kicked 4 goals in 9 minutes, it was all over then. But, you know, they stayed out for their fans for a good 5 minutes or so after the game. Now, they got smashed in a prelim by 57 points. One step away from a grand final, but they still did it. They have set the standard right now. No matter whether you win, lose, or draw, you know, they've lost in the most heartbreaking of fashion, and they've still stopped. That sets the standards for every bloody team, whether you win, lose, or draw. So I never want to hear again about, oh, the team's lost, they're not going to stop. That's not the whole point of fan engagement. The whole point of fan engagement is to engage with fans. Hence the name, fan engagement. Okay? Port Adelaide have set the standards for every game going forward. You can get smashed in a prelim by 57 points and still stop. So I want no excuses from any other team ever again. Well done to Port Adelaide for setting the standards, the professional standards. It's just respect as well. Yeah, and you had a lot of fans turn out, and they had a decent number in their area. So it's great to see they appreciated them. Hawthorn, St Kilda, Carlton, and any other team that do it, lift your game. It's pathetic. Well done to the Port Adelaide Football Club for that. Alrighty. Now, I was umming and ahhing whether I include these awards in Scoops Goes Bang or just separately. I'm going to include the Mark Goal of the Year and the Rising Star and the All-Australian team in this conversation. But how I'm going to do it, and the League Best and Fairest results, so I'm kind of going to just go through them all. In fact, I'm just going to go through them all right now. I'll go through them now with some of them. The ones that annoyed me the most, okay? I'm going to go through them individually soon, actually, but I want to go through, mention a few particular ones that really annoyed me, okay? And that is this, okay? How can the best player in this competition, Mon Conti, not make the All-Australian team? I mean, I've talked about how rigged these All-Australian teams have been in the men's competition. And now here, they haven't included the best player in the game in the team at all. I think that's insulting to Mon Conti. One of the best players, finished 4th in the league best and fairest, and couldn't make the All-Australian team. The best midfielder cannot make the All-Australian team. That makes 0 sense. That's my only issue. How can this year's 2 best key defenders in Serene Watson and Charlie Thomas not make the All-Australian team? Ridiculous. How can this year's best recruit, Eliza West, who was Hawthorn's best player, not make the All-Australian team? Another ridiculous decision, non-decision. Like, I look at this team and I go, what the hell? Then you look at the league best and fairest, how Jazz Garner, who was a red hot favourite, is by their opinion, not even in the top 5. Like, that's just absolutely ridiculous. The rising star, Goody, was the red hot favourite all year with Lucy Cronin. And I mean, I went through each individual person that voted for the rising star, and not once did my top 3, Goody, Cronin, and Surhoy, all poll in the top 5 in any of the 10 or so individuals' votes. Like, those 3 that I had as my top 3 did not poll at the same time in anyone else's top 5 at once. And how Goody rarely polled a 5 voter out of the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 system they had is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. And then mark and goal of the year. Well, goal of the year one, I mean, you could raffle it up, I guess. But the mark of the year, I mean, congratulations to Matilda Schultz, but Matia Breed's mark was way better than that. I still can't fathom how people are trying to tell me that Schultz's mark was way better than Matia Breed's. Matia Breed leaped very high in the air. And Schultz, it's a great mark. I'm not doubting that. But it hardly looked like she got off the ground. So, very tall player, but I'm confused. And Matia Breed didn't win that. And then again, how did Hawthorn win the McLennan Trophy when Brisbane won the men's final, was in the grand final, and now their women's team are potentially winning the AFLW grand final, yet Hawthorn didn't make the grand final or the prelims in either competitions, and they won it. Make sense of that. To the AFL competition, to the people rigging these All-Australian teams and everything, lift your game. It's pathetic. Hope you guys and girls enjoyed that edition of the world-famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang. Now let's go through it all in a bit more detail, shall we? So, mark of the year went to Matilda Schultz. Like I just said, I feel like Matia Breed should have won it. But again, congratulations to Matilda Schultz. Now, let's go into a bit more detail with the rest of them. Goal of the year went to Hannah Munyard from the Crows. Congratulations to Hannah Munyard. I thought T. Smith from the Saints against University of Frankston was goal of the year. I mean, Harley Reid got goal of the year for the exact same thing, so why didn't T. Smith? Didn't even in the top 3. And Alicia O'Dowd from the Giants, first ever disposal in her AFLW career, was the first ever goal for the season for the Giants. Out of the ruck, ran the whole way and got the goal. How was that not in the top 3? I mean, you could raffle it up, but I would have given it to T. Smith, or Alicia O'Dowd. So here we are. Rising stars, as I said, went to Matilda Schultz. It should have gone to Sinead Goody or Lucy Cronin or both. I cannot believe this decision either. I mean, Schultz had a good year, sure. But Goody or Cronin definitely should have won for me. I thought that was a pretty obvious choice for me. And Caitlin Surhoy was not far behind. And then maybe Amy Gaylor and Beth Schilling were my top 5. But, here we are. Now, let's go through the All-Australian team, shall we? They selected. Now, I do have an issue with this team. So, you got here Chelsea Bedell, Brenna Tarrant, Tilly Lucas-Rod, Emma O'Driscoll, Madison Gay, Sophie Conway, Ash Riddell, Ella Roberts, Miriam Strom, Jazz Garner, Ebony Marinoff, Aisling McCarthy, Aisling Maloney, Aileen Gilroy, Caitlin Gould, and Taylor Smith, Chelsea Randall, Charlie Rowbottom, Alice O'Loughlin, Ali Anderson, and Belle Dawes. So, first of all, of that All-Australian backline they selected, only one of mine made that, and that was Brenna Tarrant. So I didn't have Bedell, Lucas Rod, Emma O'Driscoll, or Madison Gay. I thought Madison Gay had a good year, but not to make the final side. A lot of her good games were at the back end of the season. Emma O'Driscoll was pretty consistent in the middle to back end, but I had Serene Watson and Charlie Thomas over her, and Bedell. Bedell had some good games as well, in particular at the back end. Tilly Lucas-Rod played a bit more up the ground, so I don't understand why she was put on the half back line. Did play some games there, sure, but more up the ground. So I question those four selections that I just said. Serene Watson, Lucy Cronin, Charlie Thomas definitely should have been there. And Jenna Richardson was the other one I had in the backline from the Hawks, who had a good year in the backline for the Hawks. Didn't make it. Sophie Conway, Ash Riddell, and Ella Roberts, no complaints there. Ella Roberts is the best young player in the competition by far, and no one's even close. Miriam Strong, no arguments there, was clearly the best ruck all year by the length of the Flemington Straight. Jazz Garner, no complaints. Same with Ebony Marinoff. Aisling McCarthy at the half-forward line. I mean, one of those players that had a really good year moving across from the Eagles to the Dockers. I'm not against this, but I had Eliza West in the team over her and a few other midfielders. Aisling Maloney, no complaints. Same with Gilroy. She was in my team also. So was Taylor Smith. Caitlin Gould in this team. I feel like that was just off the back of the last 4 weeks of the season for Caitlin Gould, but here we are. And I feel like that team's already too tall. So I would have had Alice O'Loughlin, who's on their bench on the field, and then another midfielder on the bench. Chelsea Randall, I mean, I didn't have her in my final team, but I thought she was very good, in particular in the middle to back end of the season. So I'm not fully against her being in the team, though. Charlie Rowbottom, I mean, a bit like Chelsea Randall, had a pretty consistent year. But again, I had Eliza West and co ahead. Also, Lachlan, yep, fair enough, was in my team. Ellie Anderson, I didn't have in, did have a decent season. Again, a few changes to mine. Eliza McNamara is one name. I can't believe it didn't even make the All-Australian squad. And Baldors absolutely deserved it. She was in my team at one point and then was just swapped at the very, very end in a line ball call, but does deserve a spot in the team as well. But yeah, that's how we are. All right. So, I mean, there's a few changes. That most of that back line I would have changed for sure. Serene Watson and Charlie Thomas and Lucy Cronin and Jenna Richardson for the 4 replacements. Brendan Tarrant, BT would stay in. I mean, you know, I cannot believe that Mon Conti didn't make this team. I'm sorry. How she's not in ahead of Aisling McCarthy, Charlie Rowbottom, Ali Anderson. I mean, Baldors, Chelsea Randall. I mean, it's just ridiculous, really. I mean, I could not believe it when I saw this announcement last night. That is the biggest blunder of this season, not having Mon Conti in the All-Australian team. I mean, it's not because she finished 4th in the league best and fairest, because their votes are rigged as well for other reasons. But how the best player doesn't make the All-Australian team makes 0 sense. Did these selectors just draw names out of a hat? Because I can't believe that Mon Conti didn't make it. I've said it about 6 times now, and I'm going to say it a 7th time. How did Mon Conti not make this All-Australian team? Ridiculous. How did Serene Watson not make this team? Ridiculous. How did Lucy Cronin not make this team? Ridiculous. How did Charlie Thomas not make this team? Ridiculous. And how did the best recruit from this trade period, Eliza West, not make this team? Ridiculous. And one name who I had in mind, who polled 17 Brownlow votes. How did Georgia Nansquan not make this team? Ridiculous. Unbelievable. It shows that the umpires and the selectors aren't on the same page at all. At all. But, yep, that's the All-Australian team. Comment down below what your thoughts are on it. I think it should be completely changed, especially 4 of those backmen. 1 in the forward line. Make that 2, and a few on the bench. 3 or 4 on the bench. So, yeah, it's an interesting All-Australian team, let's just say that. All right, so now that's that. Now let's talk about the league best and fairest. Congratulations to Ebony Marinoff for winning the AFLW League Best and Fairest last night, ahead of Ash Riddell, Maddie Prasparkas, Emily Bates, Mon Conti, Georgia Nanscorn, then Sophie Conway, Abby Dowrick, Jazz Garner, Ella Roberts, Kate Hoare, and Eliza West. Now, again, not saying these players didn't deserve it, but why did Jazz Garner only on 12 votes? Why did Serene Watson and Charlie Thomas not poll a vote when they were the best two key defenders all year? Oh, that's right. Key defenders don't get recognised in Brownlow votes. Hence why I ask the question every player I interview, do they deserve their own official title of an award as well? Because it's a midfielders award. And look at all that. Dare I say it, all midfielders. So, unbelievable. It's just confusing, really. Honestly, it is generally confusing. Got the leaderboard in front of me. I mean, Ebony Marinoff at 23. Round 9, Ash Riddell did not poll a Brownlow vote when they played the Crows. She should have got 3 votes in that game. And had she got that, they would have had a draw in the medal count last night. Very interesting. Very, very, very interesting to say the least. Again, Maddie Prasparkas, I don't even feel like she was Essendon's best player this year. She polled 18 votes and came in 3rd place. I could name you at least 10 players that were better than Maddie Prasparkas this season. She was good this year, but I thought Georgia Nanscorn, her teammate, was far more impactful and far more better. So that's one. Ella Roberts, Eliza West, Mon Conti. The list goes on and on and on. Really surprised too that Emily Bates polled 17 votes. I thought that was a bit exaggerated in terms of the amount of votes. Abby Dowry got 13 votes. I also think that was a bit exaggerated as well. But here we are. I thought Eliza West should have had more votes. Ella Roberts definitely should have had way more votes. Probably one of the surprises too was Ellie McKenzie polled 10 votes. She had a decent year for Richmond. And same with Isabel Pritchard, but she also polled 10 Brownlow votes. Great to see key forward in Taylor Smith poll 9 votes with Aisling Maloney. They tied on votes as well, just like they did in the Coleman medal race. So one to both Aisling Maloney and Taylor Smith for winning the goal kicking for the year. Last year was Kate Hoare and Eden Zanker tied. Now Maloney and Smith have for this year. Jamie Lambert polled 11 votes for the Saints, with the most votes for the Saints. And Charlie Rowbottom polled 9 votes. As I said, how Mon Conti didn't poll more, how she didn't make the All-Australian team, how Ella Roberts and Eliza West did not poll more votes, how did Eliza West not make the All-Australian team, how did Serene Watson and Charlie Thomas not poll a Brownlow vote, and how did they both not get in the All-Australian team? So many questions, so many interesting selections and non-selections, interesting votes and non-votes. It's always, I understand you can never get anything perfect, but how you can be so drastically different is a problem. Some players can have every right to feel robbed. Well, they've been rigged. Their votes are rigged. The All-Australian team is rigged, but they've been robbed. Ruby Schleicher nailed it perfectly on the call last night when they were talking about Jazz Garner not polling a vote until round 5, which was ridiculous as well. Another one that was ridiculous, how they had taken 5 rounds to give Jazz Garner a single vote. That's also a problem from the vote getters and the umpires. Also, in terms of the votes, yeah, that's right. When Ruby Schleicher said about the umpires that they clearly don't watch the game and they don't know what they're talking about, essentially. She didn't say those exact words, but that's essentially what she was saying. And then she later on apologising, saying, please give me Brownlow votes from now on, and hope that didn't hurt me getting any votes. But just speaking the truth, and the umpires are rigged. Robbed. Close enough. They rigged the votes. It's ridiculous. And by the way, one little thing I wanted to mention, Andrew Dillon was reading the votes out last night. I was listening to that and thinking, why did you not have the North Melbourne game last of the votes to read out North Melbourne v Gold Coast? Like, why'd you finish it with Geelong Adelaide? Marinoff was on 23, right? Okay, hear me out. Marinoff was on 23. Ashradell was on 20. So why wouldn't you have gone to the last game in North Melbourne when Ashradell could have got votes and potentially 3 and left that cliffhanger to then? Wrong choice. Because then you started reading out the Adelaide game last after Marinoff was already ahead of Riddell and the Riddell game was already done. So, like, where's your theatre? Like, that's another blatant mistake they made. Unbelievable. Again, congratulations to Ebony Marinoff for winning the league best and fairest. But, you know, here we are. All right, let's now go review the preliminary finals. And, well, North Melbourne and Port Adelaide, it was a 57-point victory to the Roos, 78-21. Ash Riddell, Jazz Garner, Ruby Tripodi, Alice O'Loughlin were all very, very good. You know, and they played a key part in their win. Kate Sheila played well. Taylor Gatt played well. Jez Ferguson played well in the back line for the Roos. Port Adelaide, I mean, Sinead Goody, again, proven what a good year she's had. And she was Port Adelaide's best player. Definitely, for sure. We'll move on to the next game, which was the closer game of the two prelims, Brisbane and Adelaide. Brisbane's third quarter, 4-0, got them that win and advanced to a grand final. When it looked like the Crows were going to win after the first half, 50-32. You know, for the Crows, it was Marinoff, it was Hatchard. They were the main contributors for them. For Brisbane, it was Baldors, Ali Anderson and co. They got them over the line. Dakota Davidson was really good as well and influential as she always is. So well done to all of them. And they got them through to another grand final. So well done to the Brisbane Lions and North Melbourne for getting through to the grand final. And let's now go preview that grand final, shall we? The big game, the 2024 AFLW grand final. Alrighty. Saturday night, 30th of November, 7:45 Victorian time at Icon Park. It's North Melbourne hosting Brisbane. All right, so my predictions is I'll be tipping North Melbourne to win this year's grand final, win their first ever AFLW maiden premiership. I've got North Melbourne winning by 2 points. My best on ground, you know, I was talking to someone the other day about this, and I'm thinking, I could go Ash Riddell, I could go Jazz Garner. I mean, I really could choose one of them. But I thought, you know, let's throw up a few other names, shall we? Let's throw up a Ruby Tripodi or a Taylor Gatt or a Jazz Ferguson or a Alice O'Loughlin or a Kate Sheila. I'm going to go one that people wouldn't predict. I am going to choose for my best on ground. It is going to be none other than Ruby Tripodi. And my first goal kicker will be Alice O'Loughlin. She's the first quarter specialist. In particular, is good around the ground all the time, every quarter, every game. In the first quarter, she seems to have like 2 goals, 6 disposals each time, or at least a goal. So Alice O'Loughlin for my first goal kicker, Ruby Tripodi for best on ground, and North Melbourne to win by 2 points. If Brisbane were to win, then I would say best on ground will be Baldors, and the first goal kicker would be Dakota Davidson. Thank you all for watching this. Next week, we'll recap the grand final. We'll go through some trade talk, the rest of the season reviews that I have left to go. But one name I want to keep an eye out on now that Adelaide are done, just the way the awards night was last night, I expect that Maddie Newman would have played her last game at the Adelaide Crows and has been linked to Carlton. Thank you all. The most important thing of all to remember is go the Saints. And of course, acknowledge me, the one, and good luck again to North Melbourne and Brisbane, who will be the 2024 AFLW Premier Saturday night at Icon Park. Get down there and find out. Let's go.